When I founded Forge Wealth Management, I created a firm that aims to put our clients' interests first. Our clients are our priority. We create customized financial plans tailored to your needs and deliver them in a clear and concise manner. We are committed to our relationship with you and want to be part of your life journey. Welcome to Forge Wealth Management. We look forward to meeting you.
And with that, welcome everybody to the Shadow Her podcast. I'm Marcia O'Connor, your host today. As you know, shadowher.org was founded almost a year and a half ago, and it is a true nonprofit to help basically women entrepreneurs out there with regards to their operations. It's a 6-month course. They are assigned a mentor. You get access to a lot of things that you wouldn't have had before. And we really want to help women entrepreneurs hit that 1 million mark. And we're going to get there. So I have no doubt. But with our podcast, we have fantastic guests on here to share with us their wisdom, their journey, their experiences. It hasn't always been fun and happiness, people. And with that, I'm going to actually introduce Emily Bittenbender, and she is amazing. She has her company, Bittenbender Construction. And I'm going to just go right to you, Emily, and introduce yourself, and let's go dive into how you even got started. So welcome.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me, Marcia, and looking forward to talking to all the women entrepreneurs out there in our region. My name is Emily Bittenbender. I'm the owner and founder of Bittenbender Construction. We just celebrate our 20th year in business. Great milestone. So we are a union commercial general contractor and construction manager in Philadelphia. And Bittenbender is the only female-owned and founded general contractor construction manager in the region.
And congratulations on that. 20 years is a long time, and being in typically a male-dominated industry is not easy. So what made you decide in 2003, I'm going to have my own construction company?
You know, I've been in the built environment my entire career, either on the architect side, the owner side. Prior to starting my company, I had built the National Constitution Center, working as a nonprofit, actually building that center. And my true love is really being in construction. I love the tradespeople. I like being on site. I like the craftsmen, and I like the entire process. It's like giving birth, to a project or to a building and knowing it intimately, and knowing that the field didn't have any female contractors at that general level. I thought, why not give it a shot? So I basically sold everything that I owned. I sold my home and liquidated all my 401ks and started Bittenbender Construction 20 years ago.
So, okay, let's go back. You sold your 401ks, you sold your home. That's a humongous risk. Were you afraid at all?
Well, it's interesting because people ask me all the time if I work for my father or my husband. And my dad died 33 years ago, and fiance number 3 just bit the dust. So I've never been married. So yes, there was no safety net for me. I basically cashed in all of my earnings in my early 30s and gave it a go. And it was really a sink or swim situation. But I knew that I was always employable if it didn't work out.
Yeah, you have to just go for it, kind of a deal. So here you are, you sold your stuff, you get started. How did you get your first client?
Interesting. So it's very difficult to get a construction project when you've never been a contractor before.
I bet.
But I definitely leveraged my experience. In 2003, when I started, we had just opened the National Constitution Center on Independence Mall in Philly. So basically, I just marketed that I had just recently built a $137 million museum on Independence Mall. But my first client was Comcast, and they are still my most favorite and one of my best clients to this day.
That's awesome. And it's so exciting to have that, but that didn't come easy. You probably had to do a few more things, more relationships. You had to basically, fake it till you make it, kind of a deal. And, so what were some of the things looking back then where you're at today that you had to say that you had basically that might not have been a true statement, such as, like, I always tell people that I had a team and it was just me, myself, and I, so do you remember any of those?
Oh, I remember it all, believe me. I actually hired a part-time person to be the receptionist and accountant. And I did something that I think was smart. I hired an older gentleman who had been in construction his entire career, and he had white hair and had built every type of building. So I wasn't walking in the room as a young 30-year-old woman saying, "Hey, let me build your project for you."
Wow.
So I hired somebody. I paid him 3 times what I was paying myself, and thought I need to come out with a legitimate, um, I'm not going to say partner because he was not my partner, but employee to,
Right.
to help me sell.
Oh my goodness. And so when you won that first assignment, when you left that room, what were you thinking?
I need 20 more.
Hey, you're honest. That's for sure. And then when you got bigger and you hired your first employee, you know, obviously failure was not an option here at all. So what made you in your life, when you were being brought up, what made you have that grit and determination?
Well, that's an actually easy one to answer. So I grew up to a family of German farmers and entrepreneurs.
Wow.
So when I was a very young girl, I would be woken up in the summer with a bell. My dad would stand at the bottom of the stairs and ring a bell, and we all came down and ate, and then we all had chores for the day. So my big summer chore was we had 400 acres of white fence that had to be scraped and painted by the end of the summer.
Mm.
So snakes, spiders, nettles, sunburn, they didn't care. You worked from after breakfast, you got a break at lunch, you worked to the afternoon, and then you were allowed to go swim in the creek afterwards to like cool down the sunburn. So
Mhm.
in German families, everybody has a job and you do it regardless until it's over.
So you had a strong work ethic from a very young age.
Yes. And
That's
they didn't
awesome.
care that you were female or a male. You did both jobs.
Oh, yeah. That's how my dad was. He didn't care if I was a female. He was just like, "You're learning how to fix a toilet today." So that's how it went. So I totally get it. So obviously you did that. And then what made you want to get into construction?
I actually wanted to be a famous fashion designer and live in Paris and be
Okay.
the next, like Gertrude Stein of the fashion world, but that didn't work out. So I then went into commercial interior design. I graduated from Moore College of Art and Design in Philadelphia
Mm-hmm.
and got out and worked in that arena for a long time. And I actually have really liked the grittier people of life. So I really enjoyed the construction side more than any other side.
Wow. And then so you get into it and, obviously more is a lot different than the construction side. How did you teach yourself?
So I'm a self-taught entrepreneur. I did initially when I first started, a very good friend of mine by the name of Pierce Keating owned Keating Construction, and initially helped me out in the very beginning, and took a small percentage ownership of my company and lent me $100,000. I paid him back within 3 years and ended that partnership. But I did initially in the beginning have a little bit of help.
Yeah, well, I think everybody doesn't realize that it can't go solo. You definitely need to go out there, but do it with the right people. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people that will take you over as well, and don't have the right intention in mind for sure. Which as women, I think we find we deal with that a lot more
Mhm.
than the men's side of the house. So when did you know that you needed a tribe of people around you?
When did I know?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's interesting because, again, for the entrepreneurs that are listening to this podcast, I mean, the first early tribe is really like your accountant, your lawyer, they're people that you pay a consulting
Yep.
fee to help you put your structure, your operational structure in place first. Obviously, you've got to win enough contracts to be able to hire a team of people.
Yep.
But I always believed that I would never, ever grow. And even if I couldn't afford it, I still hired people,
Hmm.
and I would live like on a complete shoestring. So I moved to Camden into an apartment because it was half the price of Philly, so that I could live really lean as I was hiring people with decent salaries.
Yeah, I think people forget that. People forget that, that you're the boss and you have all this money. They don't realize that we don't, and we just put the money back in the business. And I don't think I took a salary. Oh, I'm going to say almost 8 years into
Mhm.
it, like a true salary. I had to pay the mortgage, so that took care of that. But anything other Christian, there was no way. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize that. They think automatically. I remember one person I was talking to. I'm going to be making money in my first year. I'm like, hmm.
No.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. You're like, well, okay, let's sit down and really have a true conversation here. And I think it's very eye-opening for people to realize that you probably won't be, and you want to make sure, like, what's the minimum amount that you can get by on. So here you are, you're building your business, you're hiring people, you're living in Camden.
Mhm.
Did you ever come back to yourself and saying, why am I here?
No, I had at that point, everything was sold and the cash was like in the bank. And no, I never ever let myself, even to this day, 20 years later, I don't let myself relax.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a true entrepreneur right there. So how many employees do you have right now, Em?
So I sold off another company. So I used to have 100. We have 50 full-time employees, and we do an average revenue of about 100 million a year.
It's fantastic. And so when you do all that, so managing it all and getting it going, and now I've been doing it for 20 years, does it still get you excited to get up in the morning?
Every day. I mean, listen, every day is fraught with issues and challenges. It's a really dicey,
Yeah.
bizarre business, to say, the
Yeah.
least. Yeah, and I'm virtually unemployable anymore to anybody else. So I have no choice to get up every day. And yeah, I love my team. We love our culture.
Yep.
The people that work with us, both on the client side and my internal team, they're just phenomenal, and I love them tremendously.
It's so much. It's so great to see how far you've come and what you've done. We're going to go through some challenges that you've had and all too. We're going to go to a quick break to talk about our sponsors, but be right back, everybody out there. Again, this is Marcia O'Connor, Shadow Her podcast. Stay tuned.
Ready to redefine your talent strategy? Let's make Redefine the word of the year for your success. Introducing RAS, Recruitment as a Service. Outsource your talent strategy with the O'Connor Group. Our four-tiered approach was crafted to align with your business, whether you're launching a startup or leading a thriving corporation. Our cost-effective solutions are designed to elevate your business and enhance your people strategy, ensuring scalability and strategic growth. Redefine your recruitment strategy with RAS.
And welcome back, everybody. It's Shadow Her podcast. I'm Marcia O'Connor here alongside with my guest, Emily Bittenbender at Bittenbender Construction, talking about her journey, starting from nothing to where she's at now. Just sold a company, has 50 employees right now. Comcast is still her number one favorite client, still with them to this day. So, Emily, going through all those years, I'm sure you've had basically maybe either masterminds or different groups that you've been involved with to basically talk to other CEOs. What are some of those organizations or clubs that you have joined over the years that have helped you get where you're at today?
I mean, this is going to sound strange, but I belong to the General Building Contractors Association. Interesting point. I was the first female chairman of the board since 1724.
Oh my
Scary,
gosh.
but true.
Whew.
And honestly, my best mentors are my competitors. I showed up at the table as the first woman of their equal, and I wasn't an equal when I first joined,
Right.
but far from it. But they really all took me under their wing. I would call up with questions or issues. And I really, if it wasn't for the GBCA, I would not be where I am today.
Wow. That's so fantastic. Good for you and good for them. But kudos being the first female on that. It takes the first person to start and you did it. But it's a shame it took that long, unfortunately. Now, are you heavily involved with them today?
Oh yeah. Oh
Are you?
yeah. And in fact, now I'm mentoring their daughters,
Oh, no
because a
way.
lot of them who have sons and daughters in the
Yeah.
business are really now looking to say, we watched Emily do it. Maybe my daughter would be, you know, the better option to succeed me.
Trailblazer. I love it. That's awesome. So with that, running a business, being a mentor, how do you take care of your time?
Before COVID, I was on like 9 boards, 2 executive committees, chairman of a board, running 2 companies. And I think while COVID was unfortunate at a very terrible level, I think it really kind of helped a lot of us slow down and rethink. I learned about self-care during COVID, because before COVID, there was no line between personal and professional, like none. Um, and still today, a lot of my personal life is spent doing things for others. But I'm getting older now and do enjoy being home, and actually doing things for me personally, and that's a first.
Yeah. What made you do that? Because that's a really hard button for a lot of female, especially female entrepreneurs to turn on. And what was that thing that said, I have to do something for myself now?
My cousin died in Maine and asked me to take his son, who I didn't know, and finish raising him. So
Wow.
we left the funeral, and this recent high school graduate flew home with me.
Wow.
And I said, this kid is grieving. He cannot be alone 24/7, because I would leave the house at 6:37, and I wouldn't come home till 8, 9, or 10. So I basically resigned from all of the things that were not directly impacting my business and provided a home for someone.
Wow. And then, and how many years ago was that?
That was 2019.
Wow. Right before COVID too.
Yep.
So you got very tight during COVID, I imagine, right?
Yes.
And now it's like you can't live without them. So I'm sure of it. So what is he doing now?
He is actually found a wonderful woman, and he moved in with her, and they are starting their careers together.
Oh, fantastic. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
So, it's amazing the journeys you have in life and like how certain things in your life, the impact you have on other people. You don't even realize it at first, but it does come back down the road where someone's like, hey, thanks so much. You were there at the right time and spot. And we don't plan for these things in our lives. They just happen.
yeah.
And it all depends on how you grab them and move them, fast forward ahead. So, if you had to ask, like, where Bittenbender is going to go next, like for succession planning and moving it along, it's amazing rock star company out there. What's next for Bittenbender?
Well, we're really focused right now on grooming the next generation. I mean, we've been very, very focused on supporting. I'm very big into creating diverse wealth. I
Okay,
the country, waited way too long to be, involved and concerned. So, being the first female in our industry, I'm really working hard to bring others to the table and train the leaders for the future
nice.
that look differently than the guys that came before us. So that's a big focus.
It's a lot of time too, I'm sure. So, absolutely to get out there because you definitely have a voice and you're involved in a lot of different things. So, which is really cool. And then there's a lot of entrepreneurs in here. They've been in it 2 years, sometimes 5 years. What's that piece of advice that you would give to them and say, listen, ladies, these are the things that made me successful, and I really stuck to them. What are they?
I think everybody's different. I had a very high tolerance for risk, but the one thing that I never did was after the initial partnership with the 100,000, I paid him off very quickly. I never took money from anybody again. So I have a business partner who joined me 17 years ago, and she
Mhm.
was 27 years old.
Wow.
We kept all of the money in the company. In our business, you're up, you're down. Somebody doesn't pay you. But the money is the most critical thing, because if you're financially stable, you make better decisions. So we didn't have the nice handbags. We didn't live in nice houses. We didn't drive nice vehicles. We were like lean, mean, and we would joke around. We're like gritty junkyard dogs. We're out hunting all day. You eat what you kill. You save everything, because I don't want to be beholden to anybody else. And she and I were both single females at the same time, without fathers, and no safety net. So we didn't have a choice, and
Hmm.
we bonded and She has skill sets I don't have, and it just somebody above. I think our dead fathers brought us together, because it's really been a true partnership of people that have the same values. But money, stability, not being forced to make decisions that are going to harm you or your company, your clients, to me was the most important thing.
Yeah, it truly amazes me. Like, so Shadow Her is all about learning the operation. So we'll have a session about finance. We'll have a session about HR, a session about operations. And ironically enough, like so many just skim over it. And I'm like, oh, if you have all these spokes in the wheel running the right way, actually money starts flowing because all those pieces are done, and you can focus on business development and you can focus on customer excellence instead. And so many just forget to do that. So we talk all the time on this show specifically about money and knowing your numbers and having access to knowing your numbers at least daily, actually. And I always get that one person, well, I get my financials once a month from my accountant. And I know, right? And I just shake my head. I'm like, no, you need to change that right now. And so when we bring our finance person in, we talk about the ways to do that. But it is
Well,
so important,
I can tell you, year 20, I know where every dollar is in my company. If I'm right now managing 35 projects, we know where every cent of it is.
Yep, that's how we are.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting, I won a decent sized job when I was early on with another person that had just started a construction company. And I would drive my beat up Dodge Ram to the construction site every day. He went out and bought an Escalade. He had mostly family members that worked with him and not people that were experts. And those family members were carrying around like Gucci handbags. And, we were all shopping at like Target and trying to get by and saving every dollar. And he didn't even make like a year, maybe a year and a half.
Wow.
So, and I watched that happen, and it was reinforced like end game, keep your eye on the end game. Like maybe one day you'll have a Gucci bag, but that is not today.
No, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a
It really
marathon.
is. Yeah, it's interesting. We were just talking about coupons, and I was the ultimate coupon clipper. When my son was small, he was 6 when I started things, and we would go food shopping, and I would have a coupon for everything or a red tag sale. And to the point when we got a little older, and he's like, "Mom, we can't buy that." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "It doesn't have a red tag on it." And I love it because he'll go to TJ Maxx and be like, "Mom, I got a shirt for $5." I
I
said,
know, it's awesome.
"It's awesome." I'm like, "That's so great," but you have to learn what you have to go through because
Yeah.
I tell a lot of entrepreneurs, don't get the office space, don't get all the collateral, don't do all that. Like, don't worry about your car. Just worry about getting business and your operations and knowing where your money goes. And it definitely works out much better. How in regards to what you do for fun, do you read at all? Do you do Audible? What do you do for fun?
I mean, I do Audible, but I'm an outdoorsy person. So as soon as I could, I actually went and bought a property in the Pine Barrens. So I'm on a
Nice.
big river. So I'm boat and jet ski. I like nature. My company's in Center City, Philadelphia. So I kind of go back and forth, but I love history. History is my big obsession. But yeah, I mean, now it's enjoyable. I actually get a lot of my weekends free, so I can, I have dogs and, stepkids and, other adventures.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of what you can do, but you have to work really hard to get there. And I think nowadays the newest generation think it's going to be overnight, and I'm like, oh, it's not going to be overnight for sure. So in regards to like reading, what are you reading right now? What's your favorite book right now?
Oh, well, I am reading a series. I don't know if you've ever heard of Many Lives, Many Masters, but I'm kind of into the whole past life, that we reincarnate as different people and come back.
Nice.
So I'm reading stuff like that and kind of understanding, this might be super weird for people on this podcast, but it's just, I think that history has a continuum, and just, thinking about other realms and the future.
Yeah, I think this year is going to be an interesting one, obviously. And you've done this, you've been around for 20 years doing your business. Every 4 years, it gets really strange in the summertime before an election,
Hmm.
and decisions don't get made. People get very anxious. They get more nervous because who's going to be going into office. And then about 6 months after that, it all starts to calm down. And it's so interesting because you almost wish you didn't have the elections because it really interferes with business and decisions out there and all too. But what do you think this year? How do you think it's going to be this fall?
Wow, that's a whole other topic. You know, I think that everybody just needs to stay positive and focused. And as I was saying earlier, things always cycle out. So you go through periods of recession to major growth and, low unemployment rates.
Yep.
So we just have to ride out all the cycles of life,
Yep.
and know that it always gets better. We go through challenging times and we go through times where we have some prosperity, and you just got to enjoy every moment of both of those times.
Couldn't agree with you more. It's all about the positive intake. It's starting your day off with gratitude and
Mhm.
just being like happy what you do have versus what you don't have. And so many people go the opposite direction and try to pull the happy people down with them, which I
Mm,
find fascinating half the time. But a lot of my entrepreneurs are very happy people. Our second cohort is in play right now, and they're all like, just happy to be there. They're learning their mentors. They're learning all the different tools and techniques, and it's so fun to see that. But we know every day isn't always going to be peachy, but you still got to put those toothpicks in sometimes for sure. Um, in regards to just, I know we're almost done here. And, for entrepreneurs out there, you have been around so many people and so many interesting individuals and stories and all too. For women entrepreneurs in particular, obviously the money is the big deal. But in regards to just saying, hey, don't give up the ship. What's your experience and advice around basically staying true to yourself?
well, that was always my biggest goal besides being successful. And that is, you have to have enough ego to survive and to win. And you have to win, but accepting the losses as well and
Yeah.
understanding that they're stepping stones,
Yep.
and taking that gut punch is as important as winning. I think my other biggest piece of I've become very skilled in identifying narcissists and sociopaths and some psychopaths, and truly keeping your inner circle and your culture with people that are like-minded as you, who only want the best for others. Because people that are all about themselves never benefit anybody else. We're part of a team, and the most important thing for me is the entire team wins and rises together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the leader, but they are an equal part of this entire equation. So um, I think being a consistent, honest leader that shows up every day and does the right thing, but values those around them that are getting them to the next place.
Yeah, excellent advice. Absolutely. I always tell people it's really the top 5 people you hang out with that are going to keep encouraging you and get you moving. And I have some amazing female CEOs that are just dynamic, and we get together. It's like electric in the room. But we have hardships, and sometimes we will all cry because something going on in someone's life, and we have to share it and talk about it. But it's good to be able to help each other out, knowing that we're not alone, and I
Yes.
think entrepreneurship can be very lonely out there, and it doesn't have to be. So, hopefully, people will reach out to you and talk. But how do people get a hold of you if someone said, "Hey, I have a question for Emily"? How would someone get a hold of you?
The best way is to like email or text. And the reason I say that, I am literally in back to back to back meetings all day. So I'm not easily accessible by phone just by the nature. I have like 35 projects, and that
Woo.
could be like, you know, 25 different clients, and I'm answering to them. So I really
Mm.
only I'm accessible really like at nighttime if I'm not
Yeah.
out at events, but I'm not an easily accessible person, unfortunately, because of the magnitude of what's going on right now.
Yeah, well, you have to, and you have to also make sure that you protect your time too, because if you don't do that, then you're going to get angry at yourself that you didn't protect your time. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of entrepreneurs do that as well. So this is so great. Um, Well, thank you. Thank you for being on the show today. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and your ideas out there. Hopefully, we'll get you as a mentor maybe one day to be a Shadow Her mentee, or maybe even a surprise pop-up visit to have you there. But the team would love it. And it's definitely growing and getting its legs. And we're so excited behind it. And especially, we just got our certification for a true 503CB. So that's exciting. But thank you. Thanks for being a trailblazer.
Congratulations. It's amazing what you've done in a year. I'm very, very impressed.
Oh, thank you. It was, one of my mentors is Jeff Hoffman, and Jeff's the guy who started Priceline.com. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, he was in a mastermind. I was in his mastermind, and we were talking, and he said, you run such a sharp operation. You should have other women shadow you. And that night I went to GoDaddy.com and I said, shadowher.org is open. And I bought that and shadowher.com. And I said, give me 12 months. I'll have something up and running. And my plane ride home was literally the entire strategy of Shadow Her was written out. And 9 months later, our first cohort started of March of 2023. So it's pretty cool. Pretty
God
cool.
bless, sister. That is quite an undertaking on top of your day job. That's awesome.
Thanks. Well, I got some good teams around me. Amy behind the scenes, I know she's listening, is doing a phenomenal job in keeping it all together and running it for me. But it takes a tribe. It really does take a tribe.
Well, you've got a great team. I feel their vibe. Very, very awesome, very smart ladies. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate that. When we're done, you're going to basically still be here, so don't go anywhere. But I'm going to wrap up the show today, guys out there. Listen, entrepreneurs, you got this. It is not a sprint. It is a marathon. But, a little bit of help. We are here for you, shadowher.org. Again, I'm Marcia O'Connor, the host today of Shadow Her podcast, along with my dear friend, Emily Bittenbender, to talk about the rock star that she is as well. And until next time, don't forget, guys, believe in you because we do. Take care.